everybody. Welcome to this edition of The Great Franchisee. I'm here with DeMarcus Brooks. We call him Marc. Welcome, Marc.
Thank you.
How are
Thanks
you
for having me.
Good. Okay, so you're in Darien, Connecticut, and you just transferred a new right-at-home business to Darien. Tell us a little bit about what you did prior to franchising and why you decided this was the route to go.
Well, prior to franchising, I was actually a nurse for like 17 years. ICU, surgical ICU, ER. I worked in the Bronx and Montefiore Medical Center. And also I did about a year at NYU University. And prior to that, after I did nursing for a while, I then be opening a business up, my own business, a CPR business with me and my business partner. We opened that CPR business. And we had 3 locations, and 2 in New Jersey, 1 in New York. I then got into home care because it's just a natural fit for me. Like, I really believe in service. I also was in the military. I was in the Navy, submarine force. I used to be a submariner, USS Los Angeles 688 out of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. And I did that. So really my whole life has always kind of been about service. So here was an opportunity for me also to take charge of my life as owning a business and stuff like that. And now have direct patient care and really kind of alleviate the middleman. And then I could directly touch the patients and their lives.
Well, thank you for your service, first of all. And secondly, I have to ask you about COVID there in New York. Was that the time that you were working, in the
Yes, it's crazy.
ICU?
Yep.
Tell us
So,
a little bit about that.
Once again, that started, we were in the midst of it. We was in the thick of it. It was, we were like basically ground zero. And so, that gave a lot of experience. It was really traumatizing, but fortunately, because I was in the military, I had some military experience, and also my ER training really helped and stuff like that. In ER, you have to have a really mentality that you're used to a lot of critical type of things happening quickly. And so often during COVID, people died pretty quickly. They went from 1 minute being alive to in distress, and then we had to start coding them or doing cardiac arrest. And so, that's just a real experience and stuff like that. And that really helped push me into entrepreneurship even more when I was like, I'm not getting any younger, even though I'm pretty young now. It's like, here's opportunity. You have to, really make decisions in life, what you want to do. And that's really what pushed me further into really doing a home care.
I would say that going through an experience like that would make you think twice about what you're doing, what path you're going to take in the future, what you want to experience. God forbid another pandemic happens. But why right at home? Why did you choose this brand?
Great organization and really friendly. I was looking for home cares. Me and my friend were looking for home cares for about 4 years. And I just got lucky to find out about right at home. And really the previous owners were really just decent people. But then once we went down to Omaha, that's their corporate office and just really interacting with everyone, they were really just pretty straight up stand-up people. And so it was kind of a natural fit.
That makes sense. So tell us a little bit about what you hope to achieve with your business there in Darien, and what's so great about your local community.
I think, so what we're hoping to achieve is success. But what we're also hoping to achieve is, what is success, right? So to be successful here, we have to help as many people as possible. Once again, the more people you serve, the wealthier you become as a human being and just obviously financially. So that's our biggest key, right? Service. The more people we could serve, the more needs and value we can add to people's lives, then the better it will be. Connecticut, particularly this area, Darien and Greenwich Fairfield area, is really interesting because it's a very, it's like a suburb of New York City, but it's its own culture. So it's very different. It's so close to New York. It's really only like 35 minutes away from the Bronx, but it's a whole different world. And I'm originally from Philadelphia. And so sometimes New York can be kind of rough. Coming from Pennsylvania, I'm like, it's a little too much. I mean, New York City is different from upstate New York. It's a whole different culture.
You think?
So Connecticut, this area is a little bit more calm. The people are a little, I hate to say, they're a little nicer and stuff like that. So that's the value here. People are a little bit more humble and down to earth. It's simpler. It's easier. Yeah.
So what do you guys feel like with your business partner? What do you feel like you're bringing to that local community with Right at Home?
I think that particularly in Right at Home, or generally speaking, any home care industry, 99% of home care industries, the owners don't have any healthcare experience at all. It's nothing for me to help change a patient. It's nothing for me to help patients with an AD activity of daily living. These are things I've seen. Just this weekend, I had to change a patient just to make sure they're okay and checking on a patient. We come ultimately, what we're adding here, we come from a place of love and service. There's no amount of money that kept me working in the Bronx for 17 years, dealing with a lot of madness. There's no amount of money kept me working the last 2 years during COVID. That's when you saw a lot of nurses exit during COVID. You know what I mean? And so, particularly in the first, let's say from February or March until June, that was really insane. Like people didn't know if we were affected and stuff like that. There were times that we were coding patients that people didn't want to go in the room because they didn't want to get infected. They were scared that, they're going to bring it home to their loved ones, their kids and stuff like that. And only the true committed people continue to serve. And so this is, ultimately my calling. I'm here to, this gives me meaning in my life, helping take care of other people. It makes me feel, it empowers me to know I'm having impact in people's lives. And it's nothing like that. And so that's why I feel genuine desire to serve and also to grow and be able to create a business that could support myself and my family and my grandchildren one day.
So talk to us about, your plans for growth. What do you hope to achieve with this business?
So ultimately, I would like to become a master franchisee. Ultimately, we don't fit the average age group. I'm only 43 years old. The average home care owners in their late 50s or early 60s. So ultimately, more home care owners are going to be retiring. I have them beat just because of my age. So ultimately, I hope to continue to grow the business, to continue to provide good service to people. And then eventually, what other people are going to exit, that we can acquire those home cares and expand throughout Connecticut.
That's an awesome dream, and we do wish you the best of luck in achieving that. Tell us about, going back to COVID and what you've experienced. Why is Right at Home positioned to serve the community in a greater way because of COVID? Are there things that have happened in the country in this past few years that have really made you think this is the business that I want to be a part of, and this is why?
I think Right at Home, particularly, the greatest things or asset that Right at Home has, particularly, is systems. They have great systems in place that can really help people. And I think that this isn't a stab in New York again, but Right at Home, particularly, they're really straightforward, and there's not a lot of malarkey around there, right? It's not a lot of red tape. They're quick, they're rapid response. So not only do they have systems in place, but it's not really hard to just communicate with someone about, hey, we need this done, and they immediately implement these things. So there's not a lot of red tape, even though this business has been around for 20 plus years. It's still really, I went to Omaha. I was able to, the first day in Omaha, I was actually walking. I showed up early because I didn't want to be late, obviously. And I showed up early because I was paranoid. And as I'm going in, the person opens the door, a lady opens the door for me. He said, "Oh, let me help you. Let me let you in." And it turns out a couple of days later, this was the CEO of, Right at Home. And so this kind of still kind of humble, down to earth things. And you would never find that out here in New York City or your competitors. That if I'm the CEO, I'm very snobbish. I had no clue this lady was the CEO. I think I was a nice person. But, and this is, I think, they're very effective, right? So if you get an idea, and this is what we try to do, particularly here in Darien, in our company, is if we have a concept idea in the morning, we're implementing by afternoon, by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is actually going to effect. So this is saying that speed kills, and this is how we're going to get ahead. We'll get it started. I think that's one of the biggest things. They have simplistic, simple systems in place. We don't have to make things all convoluted and confusing, and they're quick to get implemented. So if it's not working, we can stop. Let's not we're going to launch this day, we're going to do this. No, we don't need to do all that. We don't need to draw on board. Let's get going.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you got to experience some of that Midwest hospitality, because it's busy out there on the East Coast. And so it's neat that you have that backing of like that, unpretentious,
Yes,
awesome,
that's the word.
company. And then you get to get it done. You get to really
You get it
implement
done,
what
right?
you want to
Execute.
do. Yeah, execute it. So tell us about franchising. Did you ever have a perception of franchising prior to getting into it? And now that you're in it, what would you tell people about franchising?
It's a good idea. So yes and no. I didn't even know this existed. Back in probably 2014, I got a book from Amazon back then. This one I was still reading books. Now I just listen to them. And I got a book about how to start up a home care, ground up private home care. I had no clue. It wasn't until I started our CPR business that we were neighbors with a different home care. I don't use their name, but thank goodness we didn't go into them. And once I found about writing home and was actually then started able to look into the systems they had, it was a really good idea. It was just, it was natural. But I would just tell people, generally speaking, once you find a good franchise, I think Right at Home is a good franchise. The U.S. government loves that, and it's a really good idea because they have systems in place already, and they have best practices like what well, what wrong. This is what you need to do, and they really have thought about everything from top to bottom. So you want to really, the biggest thing. I'm a cheater. I believe in cheating in life. And so the best way to cheat is one, read books so you can learn from other people's experience, or put yourself around people and systems that's already in place and say, hey, these are the mistakes we had. I'm a strong believer. There's two ways to really learn: that you go follow someone that's really done it right and you can learn from them, or you spend a day following someone that's really ruined their life. And so you can learn from them, like, hey, let me hang out with you for a day. You're a handsome guy. You had a great family. You lived in America. You ruined it all. Just hang out with me so I can know what not to do. Right? In this case, Right at Home is actually a great company. They've done a lot of things right, a lot of things great. And so it's natural just, hey, let me just shout out these people. And that's what franchising does. Just follow these people and learn from them. That's what I think.
So, talk to me about your CPR business because you did start a business with your
Mm-hmm.
partner on your own without a franchise in place.
Right.
What's the difference between doing that and doing what you're doing now?
A lot of bumps and bruises. I think a lot of bumps and bruises and stuff like that. And once again, like you don't have to like you have to learn your best practice. Like, okay, this doesn't work. This is not how you onboard someone. And basically terminology. What are these concepts? How do you use QuickBooks? There's so many things. Sorry, it's a lot of noise. We're working here, trying to make Right at Home some money. And so we're here. And this is the biggest thing. Like, so when you do a private company from ground up, there's a lot of mistakes you just have to make because you have no guidance and you're learning the system and stuff, even if you try to have a mentor. But once really think of franchising and people franchising is unfortunately but fortunately one of the situations where it is what you make of it. I'm always nervous when someone says when a situation is what you make of it. That usually indicates to me it's a bad situation. Unfortunately, Right at Home is actually a good situation. And so if you want to, if you don't want a lot of corporate involvement, you could be standoffish. But the best thing is really treat franchising, and particularly as a franchisee, treat these people as mentors. If you have a question, you're paying a royalty fee. Call these people up. Hey, what's going on? I'm having this problem. What's going on? What's your thoughts? Because they have so many hundreds of different franchisees that they've had this problem before. It's just like opening a book. The world's been around for thousands of years. Someone's most likely had the same problem you had. You could find probably an answer in a book. In this case, you could find an answer just a phone call away. Call up your mentor. Hey, what's your thoughts about this? Or I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about this?
Mhm.
That's the advantage of franchising. Like, utilize these people as much as you can.
That's great. Tell us what you hope to achieve with your business and what are your plans for growth?
Well, we're hoping to achieve, we want to grow as quickly and safely as possible and help as many people as possible. So the plan is, we want to get up to 3,200 hours a week. That's going to require us to be around 60 to 90 customers. Our plan to growth is to more marketing. And I'm going to be taking over the lead of particularly marketing, but particularly attacking the VA. And we haven't really implemented a lot of veterans and making sure the veterans onboarding more veterans and also just really implementing and having outreach to the community more. The reality is that home care is not going anywhere, and every year, every month or a couple months, there's more, home cares, private home cares, independent home cares popping up, and they're acquiring customers. To me personally, that's a problem. That means I'm not doing my job. There's still market share out there. So why did I get that market share? How do we be established business for a year and not acquire that market share? Why is there room for smaller fish to eat? So our plan is to aggressively build relationships. And I think I may be at a more competitive advantage as building rapport with people because I'm a nurse. So that allows me to now, people often want to do business with people they like. You often like people that you can relate to, right? If I listen to rock and roll, you listen to rock and roll. Now we have something to talk about, right? Versus something else. So now that I'm a nurse, I can go on and talk about basic nursing stuff. Oh, you did COVID? I did COVID too. Let's work together.
You
So,
did COVID in the ER and the ICU in New York City, and I did
mhm,
COVID on the local news way out in the Midwest. And I'm going
right.
to tell you what, you
COVID went
are a
up.
rock
COVID made it to
star.
the Midwest. I didn't know that.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, yeah, it did. I'm just saying, you have a badge of honor when you think about what you've been through. Because we reported on it, we heard about it. The
Mm,
whole country, the whole world heard about what was happening in New York. So the fact
mm,
that you're even still in healthcare, you're right. It's about service. It's about your
mm.
desire to serve. So tell us, is that what makes you different? Is that what makes you stand out? And is that what you want us to know?
I think what makes me stand out is that I'm the real deal. That's my differentiator. Often, people get into business because ultimately, listen, we all get into business to ultimately make money, right? But in this industry, there's nothing wrong with making money. I think that people making money seems to have a negative aspect to it, but you can help people make money too. But often, sometimes that I think that a lot of owners, they don't understand that healthcare is kind of dirty. It's not pretty. It's ugly. When you're quoting someone that's dying, they're 23 years old, there's nothing pretty or clean about that. It's a dirty, ugly business when someone's crying and stuff like that. When someone has dementia and they don't know their name anymore, or they're cursing at their daughter or their son, and now their daughter, who's the primary caregiver, is hurt and she's internalized everything. I say this is an ugly business. So this, like, I've seen this. I've been at people's bedsides when people have died, and their mom has died, and they finally had to pull. They have to extubate the patient, pull the breathing tube out of them. So, I've changed patients. It's nothing for me to change a patient that's moved their bowels and stuff like that. This is what it really is. It's nothing for me to console someone. Like, I understand, take care of someone that's been vomiting up blood or stool. So, I've been in the muck of it. And so I'm still here because, we really care and stuff like that. We really care. We want to help people, and we want to provide the best services possible with reasonable, decent prices that's sustainable. I'm a strong
Mhm.
believer of singles and doubles, singles and doubles. We don't have to worry about hitting home runs. That's not going to win the World Series, singles and doubles. So we're going to offer great service for a reasonable price. We're not trying to get rich off people. We're trying to create a sustainable relationship. And over time, this is how we're going to do well as a company. And then, you're going to tell your friends about us because we're honorable, decent human beings that carry out what our word. We say what we mean, and we mean what we say, and we carry through with it.
Well,
That's
and let's talk about the business because now the baby boomer generation is, of course, exploding into home health care and having
mm,
to, really utilize nursing home care. And a
mm,
lot of us kids of those baby boomers who live far away from our families, we have
mm.
families of our own, we need
Right,
people like right at home staff to step in and owners such as yourself to step into that gap and help people because a lot of families aren't together in the same states anymore. So have
right.
you found that? Have you found that you're really, serving that kind of a population of
That's
people?
happening more and more, and that leads now to the different aspect of marketing for home cares because people are in California or Maryland or, Missouri, who knows, and stuff like that. Now, how do they help their family members? Google. And so now we've entered a situation where there's more remote, like, marketing, and people are finding out, and that's someone is not as well. And so now you have conversations. But it's happening. It's happening now. And so now you're fighting really on the internet to be seen, right? You're trying to swim to the front of the line or get to the front of the line. This is the process. It's technology, right? It's the evolution of technology and stuff like that. People are moving away. They have to for work. So we'll see. I mean, COVID has changed everything. It's disrupt everything. And probably moving forward, we're going to have a recession pretty soon. That's which is going to disrupt things again. But, you saw a shift of people really, and this is what I'm saying once again about healthcare. And this is our differentiator, particularly in this office, that we have real healthcare experience and we know what it is. So during COVID, you had a lot of people staying at home, working remotely. And so now you saw a lot of home cares going out of business because now the primary care would say, well, why am I paying this money? And I could just take care of mom and dad myself. And that worked for maybe 6 months to a year. And then they realized, oh, take care of mom and dad isn't that easy. It's very hard and it's very difficult. But then you also have the movement of people. And so now those same people who thought they could save money didn't really value like nursing. They didn't really value healthcare or caregivers. They didn't understand because they weren't real. They were working. They didn't understand, oh, this is what this person is doing. Mom and dad is moving their bowels 3 times a day or 4 times a day already, and I can't deal with this. Or mom and dad, I have to rotate them every 2 to 4 hours to keep them from getting abyss or pneumonia. And so this is actually a full-time job. I can't really be at home working an IT job and then still go and check on mom and dad because they are fall risk. They might fall. They have dementia. I really need help, even though I'm still in the same house, so I could work. But then you also had the position of now people leaving nursing homes because of COVID, right? Of COVID and stuff like that. And I'm a strong believer that shift is probably going to shift back. Now people say, oh, we don't want nursing homes anymore. Maybe. I'm not a real fan of nursing homes. I think people want to respectfully be able to die in their own home and just live out their last days in their life in their home. But once again, we'll see, because a lot, I think, the younger generation, Generation X or whatever, they didn't understand what it really meant to take care of someone. They thought it was just easy. And now that they had a year with mom and dad or 2 years with mom and dad, it's not. It's a full-time job. And it's a really dirty, ugly job that you have to do. And
Yeah. Let me just say, we're thankful for you. We're thankful for people like you because the world needs you. And very great to talk to you today. Best of luck in Darien. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. And we're excited to see where this is going to go for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right.